Hey everybody, this is Stitch 1993. Today we're going to talk about the many adaptations of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland for film and television, specifically the 5 that are my favorite. Now, there are many adaptations for this book, going back as far as the early 1900s. So, your favorite may not be on the list, and also this is just my personal favorites. So, the ranking system may be not what you think it is as far as which one will show up as number 1. But before we get started, for the few of you that have probably not read or know the story of Alice, or it's been a while since you've read it, I want to go over a brief summary of the story and what the overall plot is that most of these movies follow. So it's based off the book of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which was published in 1865, written by Lewis Carroll. It's a girl by the name of Alice that falls down a rabbit hole as she is chasing a white rabbit, and after that she ends up in what is called Wonderland. She meets many characters along the way. Each of them is crazier as the next one. Many of the films and television like to pick and choose which characters to introduce with the time allotted, but most of them do include Cheshire Cat, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, the Caterpillar, and the Red Queen or the Queen of Hearts. After that, it kind of gets a little whichever ones they feel like showing up or not. So, with that in mind, here's the top 5 favorites of mine. Number 5, Dream Child. Released in 1985, this follows almost more of like a biographical film of the actual girl, who in this movie is now old lady, Alice Hargraves, which was the actual girl that Lewis Carroll based Alice in Wonderland off of. She's in the 90s, so the book of course has been popular for decades now. So she's on a tour and giving speeches and interviews of what it was like to grow up being said Alice child, and her personal experience being around Lewis Carroll, who in this movie she calls him Dodgson. So you may be wondering, what does this have to do with the Alice in Wonderland movies and adaptations? Well, a couple of times she does hallucinate, and the hallucinations are of the Wonderland creatures done magnificently by the Jim Henson Company. And man, do they look creepy, just in that labyrinth, dark crystal sort of way. And it's only in a couple scenes. So if you're going to watch it just for those, maybe just search for those scenes online. But if you want to watch the full movie, you can as well. It's pretty easy to find, both online and on DVD. Number 4, Alice of Wonderland in Paris. So this is like a loose adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, where it doesn't really follow the book. It kind of takes place afterwards, to where she goes on an adventure in Paris and meets new characters never mentioned in either Alice in Wonderland or its sequel book, Through the Looking Glass, but there are similar type of characters throughout the story. Animation is done very kind of cheap, but has a charm to it. This is a Czech animated film that was released in 1966, and it does show its age. So the main plot is Alice finds a mouse and shrinks down to the mouse's size, and they go through an adventure in Paris, and almost kind of feels like a Madeline type of feel to it, especially with the animation design. But this one's just kind of nostalgia for me, because I grew up watching this film a lot because we had it on DVD, because it was one of those movies that you would buy on DVD for like $1 at like Walmart or Dollar Tree at the time. And so we just kind of watched this on in because it was there and available. And anytime that I see it on like Tubi or Pluto TV, I just kind of stop whatever I'm doing and just sit down and enjoy it. So this may not be for everyone, but it definitely is one to check out. Number 3, Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland, 1951. Yeah, I know. This is the end all be all for most people when it comes to Alice in Wonderland. And I do agree. Animation is wonderful. Story follows the book almost to a T, minus a couple characters, which even then the characters can be seen in deleted scenes. So at one point they were going to include characters like the Mock Turtle, and of course the music, all the songs are very earwormy. And boy, do I get songs like All in a Golden Afternoon and Happy on Birthday, and even Painting the Roses Red stuck in my head 100 times a year. But there's some that I feel do it better. Like, it is definitely a Disney film. It does not get too dark, and some of the scenes that were dark in the books are just kind of omitted completely or changed to where they're more lighthearted. And some characters that were more mean-spirited in the book are more just kind of kooky now. So it's also not very nostalgic for me. So I didn't really grow up with this version. I mean, I watched it in middle school once when it came on TV, and then I didn't see it again until like college. I do enjoy it. It's probably one of my favorite Disney films, but that's a list for another day. But if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because my God, the whole movie is just a technicolor wonder in regards to color and design and music. And if you like the other films that came out around this time, like Pinocchio and Peter Pan stuff, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Number 2, Alice in Wonderland, the 1999 made-for-TV or direct-to-VHS movie. I grew up with this one. So this is the one that I have more nostalgic for. Of course, in my opinion, this one does the story better than Disney's version. The characters that are supposed to be dark are dark. The scenes that are weird and almost nightmarish are included. So like the baby turning into a pig, and some of the creatures are puppets, so it's got that weird, and it does very well, very close to how they look in the books. Then of course you gotta talk about freaking cast for this thing. My God, this was made for television, but all these people, and they're like A-list actors for this time and even now. So you've got people like Robbie Coltrane as one of the Tweedledee, as either Tweedledee or Tweedledum. You got Whoopi Goldberg, which is probably the best version of the Cheshire Cat we will ever get. You got Ben Kingsley as the Caterpillar, which I love. And you've got Martin Short as the Mad Hatter, which, my God, that was like the character Martin Short was made for. Like, it is like, whenever people say Martin Short, you're gonna think of if you think more recently, it's gonna be like Only Murders in the Building, or if you're a kid of the 90s, it's gonna be Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, or Prince of Egypt. But I directly think of his version of the Mad Hatter. It's my favorite version. Johnny Depp should have taken notes, is my opinion. And of course you've got Gene Wilder as the Mock Turtle, which is one of his more melancholy type of characters. In a lot of his movies up until this, and he was, known more as, a comedic actor. And although he does do some type of, I guess, considered dad jokes now, this is more very somber scene compared to the rest of the film. He sings a very wonderful song called Beautiful Soup. And again, the creature designs in this, my gosh, the creatures, again, were done by the Jim Henson Creature Shop, which honestly, I really think they should just do a straight up, just full on puppets version of the film, and Jim Henson Creature Shop should do it. I mean, this is probably going to be the closest thing we get to that, honestly. But if they wanted to do full on kind of Dark Crystal type of all puppets used, even the human like characters, I would watch it. But yeah, so we've got all that plus so many more characters here. It does feel or does look like a made-for-TV movie or direct-to-VHS movie. Very not cheap sets, but you can definitely tell that they are set pieces there. But it's other than that, it's aged wonderfully, and the songs are just as earwormy as the Disney version. So I highly recommend checking this one out. It's been released on YouTube as well as DVD and Blu-ray and a whole bunch of other streaming sites. So there's a whole bunch of ways to check this one out. And now for number one, which I know it's probably going to be a surprise to a lot of people, but my number one film version of Alice is Alice, 1988 film, also known as John Schwenkenmeyer's Alice. And I am sorry if I just said that name completely wrong, but that's just Schwenkenmeyer might be another way to spell it. But oh my God, this version is the trippiest of all the Alice, and I feel like gets the spirit of the book the most. This guy uses stop motion in the craziest ways. He uses taxidermy, real skeletons, toys, all kind of hodgepodge together. Still does the Alice in Wonderland story, and of course the main character is live action, is a real person playing her, and I believe it's an actual it's one of the few ones where I believe the kid is actually younger than what she actually is. I know the child is supposed to be maybe 10 or 11, but this one feels like she's 7 or 8. But just wow. And it is the Czech film, but is in English, or at least it's been dubbed in English, which is the way I watched it. Definitely check out this guy's other stuff. But this is a surreal, dark, stop motion animated movie, and wow, it's just, I can't say enough about this one. It's just every scene that you think should be dark and creepy, it is dark and creepy. Even the scenes in the book, there's parts in the book where they're supposed to be lighthearted and stuff, because of the way he animates the creatures and because of the way the creatures look, it still comes off as creepy and weird, and you kind of on edge the whole time because you don't know what you're gonna see next. But yeah, it's just one of those, you just gotta check it out for yourself. And yeah, I know this is such a weird list, for especially probably for some of you that the Disney one probably is your favorite, but that's my top 5. There's other versions that, while I was doing research for this list, looked interesting to me, so I may check those out, and I may make another top 5 list later down the line. But let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite Alice in Wonderland adaptation movie, television show, TV movie, cartoon, musical? Let me know. And which ones from this list have you not heard of? Until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.